Hello, welcome to Bold and Blunt, and I'm your host, Cheryl Chung, giving you a Christian conservative look at today's news, politics, culture, and events. Today's topic, socialism in America. It's a topic that just won't go away, and there's a reason for that. Because the socialists busily working to cripple America from within won't go away. So it's a topic that we can't just dismiss and push to the side and pretend doesn't exist, or pretend that it's not pertinent to America. It used to be not pertinent. It used to be talk of socialism in America came across more as hyperbole, as sort of conspiracy theory. But look, we have open socialists serving in America's public offices. Open socialists that actually take an oath of office to the Constitution, pledging to uphold the limited government principles of the Constitution. So from day one, when they take their oath of office, they've already declared themselves liars. So stay tuned. The conversation's happening in just a minute. But a quick shout out to a special deal the Washington Times is offering, particularly Bold and Blunt podcast listeners, and that is a 50% off discount of the digital platform of the Washington Times. A year's access, 50% off. Go to washingtontimes.com/Cheryl. Give up a little bit of your information, your payment information, and then you'll have a year's access to the digital platform of the Washington Times. That's commentaries, that's news, that's podcasts like this one for a full year, 50% off. Check it out. And while you're at it, please go to the WashingtonTimes.com website, find my name, hyperlinked, click on it, and at the bottom of any one of my commentaries, there are links there where you can sign up for my 3 times a week newsletter and get delivered to your email box Monday, Wednesday, Friday, before lunchtime, in the morning, Eastern Time, my newsletter with all my commentaries that I've written for that day and for the previous day, all the talking points you need to fight off the hard left, the socialists that we're going to be talking about today. And in addition to my commentaries, you will also get directly in your email box my twice weekly Bold and Blunt podcasts. I just had Senator Josh Hawley as a guest. I have had Charles Payne from Fox News way back as a guest. I've had Charlie Kirk as a guest. I've had Pastor Jack Hibbs from California, Pastor Brian Gibson from Tennessee. So we talk about anything and everything on this podcast with my guests, all from a Christian conservative point of view, and you don't want to miss it. So sign up for it. Instead of having to search for it every Tuesday and Thursday when it gets posted, just get it delivered right to your email box. I'd appreciate it. So, socialism in America. Let me read you this from October 7th, 2019. We're going back a ways just to get a little bit of context in today's discussion. From Pew Research Center, a piece that is headlined in their own words, Behind Americans' Views of Socialism and Capitalism. So, they're comparing capitalism and socialism in Americans' own views, in Americans' own polled and surveyed views. I'm reading now from Pew. For many Americans, socialism is a word that evokes a weakened work ethic, stifled innovation, and excessive reliance on the government. For others, and let me step outside the quotation marks for a second, for others less sane, less American, less in the know of what it means to be American. Okay, back to the quote. For others, it represents a fairer, more generous society. End quote. How can socialism be generous when you're stealing, right? Seriously. I mean, just because somebody steals something and gives away to another doesn't take away the fact that it was stolen in the first place. And that's what socialism is, right? Robs from Peter to pay Paul. Robs from Peter to pay Paul, and then expects you to thank them for it. All right, back to Pew. Quote, critics of socialism point to Venezuela as an example of a country where it has failed. That's because that's fact-based. Back to the quotes. People with positive views of socialism cite different countries, such as Finland and Denmark, as places where it has succeeded. That's because they're not looking at Finland and Denmark with accurate, factual eyes, because these countries don't exactly have full-blown socialism, and these countries are a lot smaller than America. But you know what? There have been several historians, several researchers who have shown why Finland and Denmark are not proper comparisons with America to make the case that socialism works. I don't even want to get into that. All I care about is that in this country, in America, we have a thing called the Constitution. And we have a concept in this country called God-given individual rights, where our rights come from the Creator. Our rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness come from the Creator, are bestowed at birth, are inherent at birth, and are not dependent on any sort of gift from the government. And that's what makes America exceptional. That's what makes America different from all other nations. So quit with the comparisons of Finland and Denmark, because fact is, this country has a constitution, it's a democratic republic, and it's above and beyond any other nation in the world, because we get, as individuals, our right from God. So right off the bat, turning this country into a socialist nation is un-American. It's anti-American. It's not just un-American. It's outright hostile to America, to being an American. So back to Pew. Some with negative views of socialism say it undermines work ethic and has failed elsewhere. Many with positive views say it will make society more equitable. Equitable, that's a word. Equity, equitable, that's a word that's been bandied about with alarming frequency lately by the Democrats, by the left, by the socialists, which that's all one and the same. I don't want to be redundant, but Democrats and socialists today are pretty much one and the same. And equity is something that is not guaranteed in the Constitution. It's not guaranteed because it would be ridiculous to guarantee it. The difference with equality is we all have an opportunity to strive, to achieve, to reach our dreams in this country. We all have equal access to that opportunity. The difference between that and equity, equitable, is equity is when the government wants to make everything equal. That's not what this country's about, but that's what the left wants to turn this country into. This left, this far left faction of America wants to turn us all into a nation of pretty much drones/sheep, where we all get a dole out from the government that is exactly the same in size, in portion, in distribution, in redistribution, actually, as everybody else. So what that does is it takes away the motivation to achieve. After all, why reach for the stars when those stars are just going to be taken away from you and given to somebody else who perhaps has no desire to reach for the stars, but because of the demand for equity, for total equal distribution of everything, from resources to housing to education, everything, to money to salaries to jobs, everything. Why reach for the stars anymore? If somebody who doesn't care to reach for the stars knows they're just going to take from you, right? So, of the 55% that Pew found in 2019 who have a negative view of socialism, and that figure should alarm you, only 55% in America in 2019 had a negative view of socialism. That should be up in the range of 97%, 95%. But of the 55% who have a negative view of socialism, 19% say they look at socialism as negative in America because it undermines the work ethic and increases reliance on government. 19% say that. 18% have a negative view of socialism because of historical and comparative failure. So they've read their history, they've done their research, and they find that socialism fails. And 18% base their negative view of socialism on that. 17% have a negative view of socialism just because of general negativity. Just the idea of socialism in America just makes them want to vomit. And why not? Because that would be the proper response. But only 17% hold that. And another 17% have a negative view of socialism because it undermines democracy, not right for the U.S. Well, first off, yes, it undermines democracy, but we're not a democracy in America. Let's remember that. We are a democratic republic, more republic, the rule of law, not mob rule, not mass rule, not Black Lives Matter rule. That's what we have in this country. And get this. This is alarming. Of the 55% who have a negative view of socialism, 4% hold that negative view because they think capitalism is better. And 2%, another 2% want a blend of socialism and capitalism, which that's like saying I want a blend of evil and good, or I want a blend of God with Satan. I just want to blend it together. Sooner or later, it doesn't work. Pick a side. You can't blend things that stand in stark contrast to each other. You can't do it. So on the other side of the equation, from Pew, of the 42% back in 2019, remember, in this survey, who have a positive view of socialism, 31% hold that view because they say it creates a fairer, more generous system. So that 31% is like saying, hey, I'm uneducated. That's the 31% in America that is uneducated as well. Or more to truth, because we're speaking of the far left here, they are the overeducated, the intellectual pinheads who think they know better than history, they know better than you or me, they know better than common sense, and they certainly know better than God. And that's God in their eyes with a small g, in air quotes, because they don't believe in God. They call that a fantasy. So anyhow, of the 42% who have a positive view of socialism, another 20% say they hold that positive view because it builds upon and improves capitalism. There's another 20% that you can call the ignorant. So that's 51% ignorance. Another 6% hold a positive view of socialism because historical and comparative success. These are the people who look to Finland and Denmark and say, hey, it works, and it works there, so it'll work here. 4% have a positive view of socialism because they say it works better than capitalism, and 4% just have a general positivity. They just hear the word socialism and it just makes them happy for some reason. They just feel better with the idea of socialism, not capitalism. So that was the survey from 2019 in America, and I find it pretty alarming. I find it pretty alarming on several counts. First off, 55% have a negative view of socialism. Yay, team 55%. But that's a lonely team. I mean, come on. This is America, land of the free, home of the brave. Land of the Constitution, land of the God-given rights. How does socialism fit into that? Only 55% have a negative view of socialism. 42% have a positive view of socialism in 2019. Boo, team 42%. You're wrong. You're wrong. And let me just offer up this little bit of advice. The door swings both ways. Under Joe Biden, the border door is wide, wide, wide open for people to come to America. but it's just as wide open for you to leave. Go to that great land of Venezuela. Go to that great land of Cuba. Better yet, go to Finland and Denmark. Hang out there. Go to Canada. Hang out there. Renounce your American citizenship and find another country more in line with your socialist views. Because here in America, socialism is abhorrent. Socialism is a cancer that just won't die, it seems. According to this poll, way too many Americans in 2019 held favorable views of socialism. And here we have Joe Biden in the White House, who is basically a socialist in disguise, socialist doing the socialist party's bidding, doing the card-carrying socialists of America, doing their bidding. They call themselves progressives. They call themselves Democratic-Socialists. They call themselves socialists who want to blend capitalism and blend progressivism and take from even the communists and the Marxists and the collectivists and the globalists, take from the UN, just blend it all together with America and mix it up real well. And what we'll have is just a better, more equitable nation where everybody benefits. Well, so the Democrat-Socialists of America have seen in Joe Biden an opportunity. They've smelled weakness in this president. They've smelled opportunity and a chance to steamroll their agenda through the White House, a time where the socialist agenda can become something that is ingrained in American society. And go to convention2021.dsausa.org, and you can see the Democratic-Socialists of America 2021 platform. So these are the things that the actual Democrat-Socialists, like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, which you can just drop the Democrat. These are the things that the socialists in America want to bring forward into society quickly, before Joe Biden and all the Democrats are thrown from power. Their immediate demands. This is a quote from their website. Their immediate demands. D.C. statehood. Okay, that's something they've been fighting for forever. Passage of HB1, the For the People Act, providing for nationwide online election day and automatic voter registration and early voting. So in other words, they want to completely federalize voting, federalize the election process in this nation so they can control it at the big bureaucratic top-down level of government. They want to make it so if, say, a Republican governor like, Brian Kemp in Georgia, or, Ron DeSantis in Florida, want to tighten up loopholes in the voting system that make it easy for those with deceptive intent to subvert votes, to commit acts of fraud during voting by, say, keeping dead people on the Democrat voter rolls. They want to make sure that Republicans like that, evil Republicans, don't get their way. Their ultimate goal is to create a system of voting that basically never ends. There would be no more election day. There would be no more just a single voting day where the polls open at a certain hour, the polls close at a certain hour, and then the tabulations are made by a certain hour, given to the media to announce winners versus losers. No, they want to keep expanding on election day, make it election week, election month, election year. And they want to have this system where it's sort of a rolling mail-in voting system where ballots come in, say the election is November, ballots start coming in February, March, June, August, and they're tabulated, and the Democrats always have a certain count of how many more they have to collect from the Democrats to win the election. And any sort of clamp down on this rolling ballot count would be met by the Democrats and their water carriers in the media as this fury of catcalls against racism or voter disenfranchisement, right? Because that's what the Democrats have been doing for a while now with elections. But with the passage of HB 1, that sort of strips states' rights on election days, they will guarantee well in the future that pretty much any time an election rolls around, the Democrats will create this sort of chaotic situation where we won't be a Democrat republic, we won't be a Democratic republic, we'll be a banana republic, and that's how voting will go forth. They also want public funding, the Democrat-Socialists of America, in their 2021 convention platform, public funding in each state for state legislatures and statewide positions. So they want to dominate at the state level as well. They want reform, I'm reading here, reform of the presidential public funding system to make it effective. That's an interesting phrase, isn't it? To make it effective. What they mean by that is to make it so they can benefit from tax dollars to push their leftist candidates into political power. Because they don't have enough funding on their own, so they want to take tax dollars to elect socialists. How un-American is that? How anti-American is that? They want Supreme Court term limits and additional seats to break the counter-majoritarian conservative majority. I think that's a made-up word, counter-majoritarian. It must be a made-up word. It's either that or they had to dig deep to find something that sounded good, something that sounded official, something that they could usher out to their sheep by way of some sort of policy talking point, a bullet statement. Let's break the counter-majoritarian conservative majority. That sounds even better than the military-industrial complex. Anyhow, Supreme Court term limits, they're going to have to change the Constitution for that. And additional seats, well, Joe Biden, right? Joe Biden successfully campaigned on having no opinion on additional Supreme Court seats. And now the door is open for that. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see how that fares. They want abolition of all restrictions on voting by those convicted of crimes in all elections. So let's open the prison doors. Let all the prisoners vote. The murderers, the rapists, the election fraud criminals. Those get frontline seating, right? Those go right to the front of the line. Expansion of voting rights to non-citizens in state and local elections. Well, that one just slides right in there, doesn't it? In other words, let everybody from every other country in the world, right, come to America, cast a ballot in state and local elections. Isn't that interesting? That sounds pretty American. That sounds pretty constitutional. That sounds like it will safeguard our individual liberties in this country, right? Expansion of voting rights to non-citizens in state and local elections. So illegal immigrants, come to America, cast your vote in state and local elections, and in return, we will make sure the state and local bureaucrats will dole out the American citizens' money to you. Need a job? We'll get you a universal basic income. Need some food stamps? You know where to go. You need housing? Don't worry. Our state and local officials will hook you up. Okay, no. Oh, those are the short-term demands, it seems. Yes, immediate demands. Democrat-Socialists of America also have medium-term demands. Medium terms. To that, here's what tops the list. Abolish the Electoral College. Abolish the Electoral College. Yeah, that has been a Democrat Party wish list item for, I can't count how many years. You know, it's been quiet for the most part, except in recent years. It's gotten a lot louder. You know, Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and all the Democrats that, you know, work in cohorts with the Democrat-Socialists of America to bring about the far left platform. They've all grown louder with their calls to abolish the Electoral College because they've slammed it as racist. And once you affix something with that dreaded R word, once you call something racist and you get the American people to believe it's racist, it doesn't matter what it is. You can push a policy just floating the racist word on it. Just stick the R word on it. Label it as racist, and pretty soon the media will do the left's bidding and call it out as racist. And then what comes next? That divide and conquer. That divide and conquer of the American population. You'll have those who claim sanely that it's not racist, but the media will push back. The leftists in the media will push back. The Democrats and their socialist friends will push back. And pretty soon you'll have more and more people, or at least the appearance of more and more people, following the leftist line that it is indeed racist. And then come the surveys. Then come the fronted by the left surveys, the funded by the left surveys that show 99.9999% of Americans think this particular issue is racist. In this case, the Electoral College. So that fans the flame. The media takes that survey and reports it. And so pretty soon, true or not, the left has successfully brought into the ongoing 24/7 media cycle that such and such is racist. And if you don't agree, well, that makes you racist too. End of single-member districts with first past the post winners in state and federal. I don't know what that is. That's another medium-term demands. Expansion of voting rights to non-citizens in federal elections. That's number 3 on the list. Okay, so in the immediate demands, it's expansion of voting rights to illegals in state and local elections, and now their medium demands are expansion of voting rights to illegals in federal elections. Why even have a vote? What's the point? If we're just going to have people from other countries come in and vote in local, state, and federal elections, why even have a vote? What's the point? What's the point of having American citizens vote? It doesn't even make sense. Why even have a country for that matter? If you're just going to have people from other nations come in and vote in all our elections, well, why even have borders? What's the difference between America and the illegals ushered in from Mexico, or the illegals ushered in from Venezuela, or wherever the left can scoop them up and help them cross the borders? Those are medium-term demands. Long-term demands, here we go. A new constitutional convention to create a cooperative commonwealth, a truly democratic socialist republic by and for the people. There you have it. Democratic Socialists of America, their long-term goal is to completely crumble America. They want to bring in a Democrat Socialist republic. Now, how does that work? You've got the Democrats, you've got the Socialists, you've got the Republicans. Just blend them all together. A Democrat Socialist republic. So a democracy is pretty much mob rule, right? It's, this particular batch of people wants this, and once they reach the tipping point and get 51%, then the laws change, and then that becomes the new law until a new majority is created to overturn that newly declared law. Okay, so it's 51% rules. It's those with the loudest voices rules. Those with the biggest pocketbooks rules. It's not based on any type of long-standing law and order. Yes, there's laws. Yes, there's orders. But they can be so quickly changed because it's based on majority. That's democracy. Socialism, the government chooses. The government, we elect people, so-called elect. I guess we the people of the world, because, of course, illegals can vote in local, state, and federal elections under this Democratic-Socialist long-term plan. So we, the people of the world, elect some people to represent us, whatever that means, and distribute resources on an equitable basis. That's the socialist part. And the republic is supposed to be law and order. That's it. We have a constitution. These are the laws. These are the standards. And then we have the three separate forms of government to perform checks and balances on each other to make sure that these laws and standards are upheld and abided. So right there, those three things, Democratic, Socialist, Republic, you can't blend them. You can't. They'll collapse. It'll collapse in chaos. And then I love how the DSA just sticks on there at the end, by and for the people. A truly democratic, socialist republic by and for the people. Good Lord. But what they really want, and they say it, to create a cooperative commonwealth, okay? We have a republic, we have a constitution, and that's what this nation was founded upon, limited government principles, where I have, because I'm born as an American citizen, I have God-given rights, life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, and you don't have the right to strip me of those rights. And certainly the government doesn't have the right to strip me of those rights. There are certain individual rights that we cede to the government during certain times, right? Because we are a nation, and our strength as a nation is we're a melting pot, but we come together over certain core principles. So, of course, we can't just all live precisely as we wish. We have to be morally constrained, right? And founding fathers recognized that, recognized the need for a moral, virtuous people. Otherwise, our ability to self-govern would crumble. But that's basically what America is, right? A cooperative commonwealth. It reminds me of Ayn Rand novels, right? Where just, a whole bunch of people take over a business and they try and run the business cooperatively. They try and have just equity all around, but that doesn't work, because if it's equity all around, then nobody leads. Nobody is a decision maker. Nobody makes a decision. Everybody just stands there looking at each other, waiting for somebody to make the first move, to tell what to do, to order, to dictate, to, give a clue on how things should move forward, how things should proceed. It reminds me of an Ayn Rand novel like that. So a cooperative commonwealth on paper is supposed to be where we all have an equal say in how things go forward. Seriously? Try that in your own family. See how that works, right? If you have kids, try that. Give everybody an equal, equitable vote. Give everybody an equal, equitable stake in housing finances, in household finances. See how that goes. And then just expand that out to your neighbors, to your community, to all your family members. Expand that out even farther to your county, to your state. And see how that works when everybody has a same voice in how resources are spent, how resources are divided. So, what's the takeaway of all this? It's a warning. It's a warning about socialism in America taking hold, spreading its cancer across society. From the DSA organizer, that's their sort of news arm for the DSA. This quote, April 12th, 2021, quote, "We recruited more than 12,000 members in just over a month, expanded outreach where workers of color live, and began laying the groundwork for transitioning DSA from an issue-based activist model to a mass membership organization, breathing and speaking to our neighbors and coworkers. Take a memo. The DSA, moving from activism to full-blown political outreach. Let me read you one more paragraph, and then we're done. From the DSA. We cannot go back to the days of organizing as an ally organization, nor stay stagnant in forming a militant minority. We are on the path to becoming the largest mass party organization in the United States in over a century. And DSA urgently needs to implement a strategy to become a permanent force for socialist politics. A permanent force. There you have it. You know, you can shrug your shoulders. You can say that's stupid. Socialism will never come to America. The DSA will never become more than just a fringe group. Soon enough, the Alexandria Ocasio-Cortezes of the party will disappear. And maybe you're right. Maybe that'll happen. But you can't discount the force of socialists and the desire of socialists to take over America and to crumble our Constitution from within. And if we aren't on guard, if we aren't the watch guards, if we aren't the gate guards to America's Constitution, and more importantly, America's principle of God-given rights, where will that lead the next generation? What are we leaving our children? What do you want America to be? Not just today, not just tomorrow, but next year, next decade, next century. For me, I choose individual rights coming from God with government in this subservient world. Thanks for listening. Tune in next time. And in the meanwhile, stay blunt.